Hello, all my witch, wizard, and magical friends. It is your headmaster, Miss Liz, here today from the library with a magical program that I'm so excited to do for you guys. This is our Honeydukes at Home challenge. We are going to try to recreate some of the most famous foods that can be found in the Harry Potter world. I am going to show you guys how to make pumpkin pasties. I'm going to show you guys how to make a Happy Birthday Harry cake. And lastly, our fan favorite is we are going to make our very own frozen butterbeer to enjoy at home. So if this sounds like a magical time to you, we are going to fly on down to the Great Hall in my kitchen and get started. The first magical treat I am going to show you guys how to make today is the pumpkin pasties, which are heavily featured in the Harry Potter books. This treat consists of a flaky pastry crust that has a pumpkin puree mixture in the middle that is baked. It is super easy to make. You only need a few ingredients, and I'm going to show you how to do it. Let's get started. What you're going to need to make these are a 15-ounce can of pumpkin, 1 egg, a half a cup of brown sugar, a teaspoon of cinnamon, a pinch of salt, 1 can of biscuits. They could be Pillsbury Grand biscuits. They can be ShopRite store brand biscuits. I am not gonna lie, when I went to ShopRite, this was the only ones they had, so I picked them up. It doesn't matter, as long as it's biscuits in a can, you're good to go. You are also going to need ginger if you wanted to have the true Harry Potter taste. However, if you do not like ginger, this is totally optional. The supplies you're going to need to make this are, of course, a mixing bowl to put all of our ingredients in. You are going to need a spoon to mix our mixture with. You're going to need measuring cups to measure out your sugar. You're going to need measuring spoons to dole out your cinnamon and ginger. You're going to need a cookie sheet to bake everything on. You are also going to need spray oil or tin foil, whatever you prefer to use, to coat your pan so that your stuff doesn't stick to it. Use a rolling pin if you'd like to roll out the dough, or if you're like me and you're lazy, I'm going to use my hands to pat it. And lastly, you're going to need a fork. So once you've done your supplies and ingredients check, it's time to start making these things. So the first thing we are going to do to make our pumpkin pasties is we are going to take our can of pumpkin and we're going to dump it into our mixing bowl. From there, you're going to take your egg and crack it in. So what I like to do is I like to crack my egg in a small bowl first. That way if I get any eggshells in it, it's easy to get out rather than trying to stick my hand in all this pumpkin concoction. However, if you want to crack your egg right in that bowl, go for it. If you're an excellent egg cracker, it is totally up to you. But I like to do mine in here first. Then you can dump that in. Next, we are going to take our half cup of brown sugar and dump it in. Then you're going to measure out 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. Once your cinnamon's in, if you are adding in your ground ginger, you can do that. We are going to throw in half a teaspoon of it. Then you are going to throw in 1 teaspoon of your vanilla. And you're going to add in a pinch of salt. So what I like to do is I just take the salt shaker and I kind of give it a little shake. Once all of your ingredients are in the bowl, it is time to stir them all together. Once your mixture looks like it is all mixed together, it should look like a nice burnt orange color. if you are making this at home along with me, you may notice that it starts to smell like fall because of the cinnamon and the pumpkin, and I am here for that smell. So I'm going to set this aside. We're going to take out our biscuits, and we are going to start making the pastry part of our pumpkin patties. So to make the pumpkin part of our patties, you guys are going to take your cookie sheet and line it either with your aluminum foil or your cooking oil, whatever you use. You are going to make sure that your oven is preheated to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. And then you're going to open your can. Now, how you make these pasties and what size you make them is entirely up to you. You can either leave them full size, or if you want to feed a crowd, you can cut them in half. So I'm going to do a mixture of both just to show you guys how they go. If you're doing a full size patsy, what you're going to do is take this, and if you have a rolling pin, you're going to roll it out. If you are like me and you don't want to use a rolling pin, you can just use your hand to kind of smush it. And this is just to make the dough a little bit thinner. And you can plop it down. So these are going to be my full-size ones. As you can see, they are a little bit larger than when we first started. That's just because we stretched out the dough a little bit. Now you're going to take a spoon and you're going to put a spoonful of your pumpkin mixture right in the middle. Then you're going to take this over and you are going to fold it. And lastly, what you're going to do is you're going to take a fork to seal them closed. And if yours look a little messy like mine, that's okay. We're gonna peel them up and we're just gonna seal the other sides as well. And that's what your full-size patsies will look like. Now let's make the mini ones. So for your mini patsies, we're gonna start out the same way. Either put oil on your pan, spray oil, or use tin foil, whatever your preferred method is. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our biscuits and we're gonna just rip them in half. They don't have to be perfect. And then you're gonna kind of roll it into a ball and smush it down. Just like this. So these ones I like to fill while I'm holding them just because they're a little bit smaller. So what I'm gonna do is do this. Take a tiny little scoop, put it in the middle, and seal it closed with my hands. Oops. And just keep doing that with the rest of them. Once you have them all good and filled, you are going to do the same thing with the fork on the sides like we did for the big one. And then we are going to pop these in the oven. So now both of our trays of pumpkin patties are ready to go in the oven. Like I said before, the oven should be set at 375 degrees. We're gonna pop them in for 12 to 15 minutes to get them baking. So here are the pumpkin pasties, all taken out of the oven, cooled down on their own plate. As you can see, we have the little ones, we have the big ones, and they just look so magical. If you want, you can add some cinnamon to the top to make them super cinnamony, or you can leave them as is, whatever you prefer. But this is the finished product, and I hope you enjoy them. The second magical food that we are going to make today that is inspired by Harry Potter is the Happy Birthday Harry cake. You guys may recall this cake is what Hagrid brings Harry when he first meets him. It is the pink cake that is squished. We are going to make our own version of it at home, and let's get cooking. Today, so for this, you are going to need 1 box of your favorite cake mix. It does not matter the flavor, color, taste, anything like that, whatever you would want your birthday cake to taste like. If you are making it from scratch, also make sure that you have all of the ingredients that are listed on the back. Most of them are usually the same, but just in case, take a look and get what you need. You're also going to need 2 different cans of vanilla frosting. You're going to need red, yellow, and blue food coloring. We're going to need 1 box of instant vanilla pudding. You are going to need an 8-ounce package of cream cheese. You're going to need half a cup of powdered sugar. And lastly, we are going to need 2 cups of heavy cream. The supplies you all will need to make this happy birthday cake are going to be 2 round cake pans, 2 bowls to mix our frostings in, 2 rather large mixing bowls that we're going to do one for the cake and one for the inside of the cake in. You're going to need a mixer. It can be a KitchenAid mixer, it could be a tabletop mixer, it could be an electric mixer like the one I'm going to use, or you can use a whisk and do it by hand. You are also going to need a plastic bag and scissors. You are going to need a spoon, a knife, and a toothpick. Once we've checked all of our ingredients, we are ready to go with our happy birthday cake. So the first step in making our happy birthday Harry cake is to take our large mixing bowl and start putting in all the stuff to whip up our cake batter. I am going to start by putting the eggs in the bowl first. That is because if I get any shells in there, it's easier to fish them out than if I had every other ingredient in there before that. I'm going to add my cake mix into the eggs. Then I'm going to add in my cup of water. And lastly, it calls for half a cup of oil, so I'm going to do that one. Once all of my ingredients are in the bowl, I'm going to take my electric mixer and I'm going to put it on medium speed and beat it for 2 minutes. Once your cake batter is all nice and mixed up well, you're going to put it to the side for a second. And we are going to grab our 2 round cake pans. First thing you're going to do is make sure that you put some oil in these. You can use some spray oil, you can use some butter, you can use whatever it is that you guys used to bake. I'm just going to spray it in there. This is so that we can get the cake out nice and easy later. Also, what I forgot to mention earlier is that you need to preheat your oven based on the cooking directions that are on the back of your box. So mine had to be preheated to 350 degrees. So I did that, but just make sure you follow the back. Sometimes it's 325, sometimes it's 375, depending on the pan you're using or depending on the oven that you have. So just read the back of the box. Once you've got the oil in there, you're gonna pour half your cake batter into one pan. And then the other half into the other pan. All right, once your cake batter is in the pan, you're just gonna kind of smush it around. Make sure it's nice and flat and even. Bang on the counter. Just on the side of that pan. And they are ready to go in the oven. So they're gonna go in for about 28 to 30 minutes. So we will check on them when they are done. In the meantime, while our cake is in the oven, we are going to make the filling for the cake. So for this, you are going to need your heavy cream, your instant vanilla powder, your cream cheese, and your confectionery sugar. You're gonna start by taking 2 cups of heavy cream. And putting that in a large mixing bowl. You are going to add half a cup of confectionery sugar or powdered sugar in with it. You are going to take your package of instant vanilla powder and dump that in as well. And lastly, put in your cream cheese. Now you're gonna whip this all together until it gets to be a nice stiff filling. It's gonna take a few minutes, so just keep your eye on it. I know your arm might get tired. You can mix it using an electric mixer, like I'm gonna use. You can use a kitchen stand mixer or a whisk, whatever you prefer. So I've been doing this for about 3 minutes. You will know that it's getting ready because it will start to form stiff peaks, almost like an icing. So I'm gonna keep going for about another minute and then it should be good to go. Once you're done, you can pop it in the fridge until you're ready to put it in the middle of your cake later. So it has been an hour and a half since I took these cakes out of the oven, which means they are ready to be decorated. We are going to start by getting a plate to put them on. Now, if you grease your pan really well, they should just slide on out. Once you have your first cake out, you're gonna put it on a plate and we are going to dump our middle that we had in the fridge onto it. Once your icing is all in the middle, what you're gonna do is I just take my finger and I kind of clean up the edges. And you could do that. Just make sure if you do this, your hands are nice and clean. I washed mine before I started this video, so I know I'm good. But, you know, nobody likes messy fingers. Then we are going to take our other cake and plop him right on top. And again, I just kind of take my finger, go around the edge. And make sure it's all clean. And we're gonna set this to the side while we make our icing for the cake. So what you're gonna do is take your 2 mixing bowls. You're gonna put a whole thing of frosting in one of them. And in your other bowl, you're gonna put half a can of frosting. So in the bowl that you put the whole can of frosting in, you're gonna make it pink so that you're gonna use your red food coloring and give it about 3 or 4 drops. This is gonna be the base of our cake. And the one that we put half of the frosting in, we're gonna make it green. So we're gonna use our blue and our yellow to make it green. So I usually do 2 drops of blue and about 5 drops of yellow. And we're just gonna stir these up. All right, once the colors look the way they want, you're gonna take the green, set it to the side for a second. Bring your cake back over. And we are going to frost the entire thing with our pink frosting. Now what you're gonna do is you're going to take that green icing and put it in a Ziploc bag. This is so that we can write our letters on it. You just open that up. I find it's easier if you put the plastic bag in some kind of cup to pop the icing down in. So that's what I'm gonna do with my cauldron here. You're going to take that bag, push all the icing to one side until there's a nice air pocket in it, like that. Then you're going to take your scissor, snip it, and now you have a hole to write. Now, if you know Harry Potter, you know the infamous spelling of this Happy Birthday Harry cake, and that is how I'm going to spell it. You guys feel free to put it however you want, but I'm going to go the true, authentic Harry way. Finally, the last touch we need is to make it look like it's cracked, like it was sitting in Hagrid's pocket for a while. What I like to do is I like to take a toothpick and kind of create some cracks in it. So you're just gonna just make sure you don't hit your letters because that'll kind of ruin. And there you have it, Hagrid's Happy Birthday Harry cake. And lastly, you know I had to save the best recipe for last. Today, we are going to be making frozen butterbeer. I don't know about you, but I am super excited for this one. It is perfect, especially on a nice hot summer day, maybe sitting outside, you need a little sweet treat, or if you're rereading those Harry Potter books over the summer. It is a great companion for anything you're doing. For this recipe, you guys are going to need 2 cups of vanilla ice cream, 1 cup of cream soda, 2 teaspoons of imitation butter extract, 4 tablespoons of butterscotch topping, 2 tablespoons of caramel syrup, a pinch of salt, half a cup of ice, and some whipped cream. So the only kitchen supply we're gonna need to make our butterbeer, aside from spoons and stuff like that, to measure out our ingredients, is a blender. So you're gonna make sure that you get one of these. It doesn't matter what kind of blender you have at home, they all work, I promise you, it does not matter. This is the one I'm gonna be doing. So I'm going to start out by putting my cream soda in the base of my cup. I am then going to add my vanilla ice cream in. Then you are going to take your 4 tablespoons of butterscotch and dump it in there. Next, I'm going to put in 2 teaspoons of our butter extract. And we're going to add in just a pinch of salt. If the salt sounds weird, I promise you it's not. It actually enhances the caramel and butterscotch flavors. There's some kind of science behind it. Don't ask me. I'm a wizard, not a scientist. But we can look it up if we want. And then you're going to throw in 1 tablespoon of the caramel topping. I know I said 2, but the other top is going to get used later. Top it off with some ice. And you're ready to blend. Once your butterbeer is mixed up, you are free to pour it in a glass. Top it off with some whipped cream. And use that leftover caramel to drizzle some on top if you want to. And that's your butterbeer. Thank you all my witches and wizards for joining me for today's Honeydukes at home. I hope you had a magical time. I know I did. If you made any of these recipes, I would love to see them. Please feel free to send me an email at the email address below. I would love to see your magical creations. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had fun, and I hope to see you all real soon. Have a great day.